H&R Blockheads Boulevard. This is Elizabeth. How may I help you?
Oh, hey, I didn't catch your calling.
Elizabeth? H&R Block?
Oh, okay. Hey, Elizabeth. I do have a question. It's a real simple question. Trying to find out, number one, is this the Atlanta office?
I'm sorry, sir. What was the question again? Your voice was low. I'm sorry.
Okay.
What was the question?
Yeah, is this the Atlanta office for H&R?
Boulevard, yes, sir.
Okay. When it comes to filing taxes, the paperwork requires a name. Is that a requirement for a legal name?
Well, yes, it's the name that you're working under. Well, when you say legal name, what do you mean?
The name on the birth certificate.
Well, that may be different from the name that you're using now. So whatever name that you're using, say for instance, if your name was Elizabeth Dixon and you worked under Elizabeth Smith, and all your paperwork shows Elizabeth Smith, then you would need to, you can put on there Elizabeth, whatever name you use, but whatever's on the paperwork, you have to be able to support that you are who you are. So I'm confused because the name on the birth certificate may or may not be different, especially for women if they get married. So it wouldn't be the same.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Well, in order to file taxes, and this has been my past experience from seeing people's tax returns, it's always been a legal name because the actual tax documents are legal documents.
Yes.
And so they require legal names in order to become operative legally. That's what I agree.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, so that's in like to have a bank account, for example, if you have to have a legal ID to open bank accounts, and illegal IDs have to be created using a birth certificate. So everything goes back to the birth certificate, which is a legal name. And so,
well, that could be true, but many times you change your name, and that's not going to change the name that's on the birth certificate.
That's true. It won't. However, it won't change the
document showing where you legally changed your name.
Yeah. So that
I ask for that information.
Right, but when you legally change your name, it's connected to the original birth certificate and the original name.
I would think so. And whatever information you gave, whatever Social Security number you're using, whatever name is on the Social Security card would be my best advice to use. Right,
yeah. And to get that Social Security card, you definitely have to use a birth certificate, which is a legal name. So what I'm getting is that in order to fill this paperwork out legally correct, one has to use a legal name.
That would be my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know of anything any different than that.
Well, it's been a very long time since I've done any tax documentation, but now, do you all request, when you process these tax returns, do you request or require a legal ID in addition to the paperwork?
Yes, we require a copy of your driver's license, or if you don't drive, you don't have a driver's license, and you have some sort of state identification. That would be required, and we require 2 pieces of ID.
Okay, I gotcha.
And each should have your picture on it.
Okay. Well, with that being
that's not on your Social Security card, but that would be one of the things that we would consider. Say if you had a driver's license and your Social Security card, we would accept those too.
Okay. Well, let me ask: are you actually one of the tax professionals at H&R Block, or?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Well, let me tell you something that you might not have heard about, Elizabeth. Have you ever heard of legal name fraud?
Legal name what?
It's legal name fraud.
I'm not familiar with how that is used, but I know what fraud is, and I know what the legal name is, but I'm not sure if I've heard of any things going on with it.
Well, this will only take a few seconds to explain it. If you have a pencil handy, this is some information you really need to take a look at. There's a website called losethename.com. And you can also Google legal name fraud to get to the same site and many, many others regarding this subject. It all boils down to one legal fact. It's illegal to use a legal name. And the reason it's illegal to use a legal name is because there's a copyright holder on the birth certificate and or legal name. And that copyright holder is called the Crown Corporation. And if you do a Google search, you can look up at the Crown, at the UK's legislation website. There's a document, a PDF document entitled Crown Copyright in the Information Age, 1998. On page 29 at the bottom, and also on page 31 near the bottom as well, it specifically articulates that the birth certificate has a copyright on it. And so any use...
That may be true, but we just don't get that involved with it when we're doing taxes. So, but I hear you, and I understand what you're stating, yes, but that would be beyond our scope of getting into.
Well, it's actually not. It's very much linked to your scope, because if you're processing tax returns, and those tax returns require a legal name, and if you're also requiring a legal identity, which has to be created from a legal birth certificate, what's going on there is H&R Block employees are aiding and abetting others in copyright infringement and legal name fraud. Now, I comprehend that you don't have any idea about this, and this is probably your first...
Well, the thing of it is, we have rules that we use to follow when we're requesting identification, and that would be an issue that perhaps someone at corporate H&R Block would address, but it's not something we would address here locally.
Right. Well, just keep in mind, if you ask someone for legal ID, you are actually involving yourself. You're directly involved in aiding and abetting copyright infringement. Now, I completely comprehend it. This is probably the first time you've come across this, and this is going to take a little bit of time for you to research.
The only thing I can do here, if you had a question, I'd be glad to answer that, but I really am not in the position to talk with you regarding that particular issue.
Well, all I ask...
Because I'm on H&R Block's time, and I can't do that.
I got you. All I ask is just do not commit copyright fraud, because that's against the law. It's actually against the law to ask someone for legal ID or to request that they put their legal name on a legal document, unless, of course, they have a bar card. Now, if they are an attorney, they have legal authority to use legal names, birth certificates, and anything legal. However, without the bar card, like me, for example, I cannot legally use any birth certificate or legal ID. And
well, that's your opinion. You have a right to that.
That's not an opinion, ma'am. That is a legal fact. That's actually a legal fact, and it's supported by the state of Georgia.
With H&R Block,
State of Georgia Vital Records attorneys.
That's not something that we would discuss with you.
Well, I'm discussing it with you. Vital Records attorneys, state of Georgia, have confirmed this as a fact.
I will not be able to continue listening to you. If you have a typed question, I'd be more than happy to answer and respond to you. But I can't get into all of that with you over the phone. I don't know who you are. I know nothing about you. And I do have to follow H&R Block's policy.
Well, H&R Block's policy cannot be breaking the law as it's currently doing.
Deal with them at corporate or some other way, but that's not something we can
Well, okay. Well, who in corporate should I be speaking with about the fraud that's being committed?
Information, sir. I will not be able to give you any information regarding that. I'm sorry.
Well, why is that?
Because that's not our responsibility.
Are you not concerned about committing fraud? Are you not concerned?
But it's not something that we will get into with you. And it seems like you have an agenda that you need to carry somewhere else. We're not going to be able to deal with that.
Well, it sounds like you have an agenda to conceal the fact that you're committing fraud from corporate management.
Sir, and I'm not going to continue the conversation. I do appreciate you calling H&R Block.
This is going to go on the Internet, by the way. Can I send this copy to you, this audio recording?
No, sir.
I'm going to go ahead and send it to your email.
No, sir. We were not accepting the copies from you.
Well, sure you will. It's going to go to corporate anyways.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Are you comfortable committing fraud?
We have other customers in the office, so I will not be able to continue the conversation.
Okay, but you're aiding and abetting others in fraud.
Thank you so much for calling H&R Block. Have a